Hello, everybody. I'm Nina Burley, author of Courier's American Freak Show newsletter. In this week's Freak of the Week, I'm going to talk about someone who is a conspicuously sanctimonious Christian nationalist who supports forced birth and traditional families, but happens to be divorced himself, who co-authored the infamous Project 2025 and oversaw the secret so-called second phase that is now dismantling the government, has been skulking around conservative Washington for decades, but pretends to hate the swamp. You guessed it. The Freak of the Week is Russell Vought. If you've never heard of this man, don't feel bad. He's been floating around Washington for a very long time, barely visible, like a transparent sea worm. Russell Vought is our Freak of the Week precisely because he's got enormous power, and you've never heard of him.
Meet Russ Vought.
Russell Vought, the former director of the Office of Management and Budget.
He's been called the most dangerous MAGA diehard you've never heard of.
Vought was in charge of Project 2025's Secret Action Plan, the shock and awe assault on federal agencies and the rule of law that we are seeing play out all over the government right now. He's been waiting for years for this chance to run the Trump administration's attack on the federal civil service. Here he is on video, licking his lips over the prospect of traumatizing tens of thousands of federal workers.
We want the bureaucrats to be traumatically affected. We want, when they wake up in the morning, we want them to not want to go to work.
In his now second term as director of the Office of Management and Budget, Vought is the wisp behind a wholesale assault on the agencies that keep Americans protected, healthy, and safe. So his first order of business was to destroy a tiny little agency responsible for protecting Americans from financial scammers, the CFPB.
In an email to CFPB employees sent out last night, he issued a dozen directives that effectively pause most of the agency's activities that protect consumers from predatory practices by companies.
Vought is a grievance-filled little ideologue who hates progressives and modern multiracial America. He advertises his brand of flinty Christianity by opening office meetings with a laying on of hands or a little prayer. He sees himself as a vengeful God's warrior on a mission to make the world a colder, harder place.
Russell Vought wants to make it harder to afford a place to live, harder to afford health insurance, harder to afford college.
And now he has deep state access to do enormous damage. He was confirmed to his powerful position over the strenuous but ultimately ineffectual objections of Senate Democrats a week ago, and now he's wielding it. The OMB director is the president's budget maker and budget enforcer, empowered to ensure that myriad agencies are spending money in line with the president's goals. If you had that job, would your to-do list maybe start with the biggest and most corruption-eaten budget in American and maybe human history, the $900 billion defense budget? Vought's first order of business was to dismantle a tiny agency with a truly decent purpose to protect middle and lower income Americans from predatory lenders, grifters, mortgage sharks, and other financial miscreants. Even his Midwestern Christian college is embarrassed to be associated with him. So much for the real Christian virtues of charity, mercy, and love. Angry Mr. Vought is in it for the revenge. I'll sign off now with our quote from George Carlin. When you're born, you get a ticket to the freak show. When you're born in America, you get a front row seat. Sign up for my newsletter, American Freak Show, at americanfreakshow.news and subscribe to Courier for more. See you next week.